We have been studying. Oh, just before I got started, I just want to make sure, please bear with me one more time. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. I just want to make sure you can hear me, right? Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. We have been studying Ezekiel. And last week I think I alluded to the fact that the next several chapters of Ezekiel, actually the last two, 29 and 29 and then 30 30, which we studied, and now 31 and 32 are going to be focused on Egypt. And we talked about last week how, as we studied many scriptures, but one of the scriptures we studied was Isaiah chapter 19. If you recall, we looked at Isaiah chapter 19. In Isaiah chapter 19, the prophet Yeshaya, otherwise known as Isaiah, prophesied about a time at the end when the Most High was going to bring the children of Ham to the truth through the Israelite people. He was going to bring the children of Ham, and he used Egypt and Assyria as his examples, bringing the children of Ham to salvation of the truth through the Israelite people. Now, today, the children of Ham, the Bible shows us the children of Ham are represented by the people that mostly, I say not all, but mostly come from that continent that we call Africa mostly. There actually are Hamites in other places, but that's where they are mostly settled, in the continent that we call Africa. We also know that the children of Israel are very closely related to these people, not in terms of bloodline, but in terms of, well, now in bloodline, but in terms of, historically speaking, our relations with them, in terms of the times our people went into Egypt, including Messiah, went into Egypt and lived there and dwelt there for a time. The times we lived in Babylon, in Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, another Hamite, our relations with the Hamites has been long. And then, of course, our relations with the Cushites, which the Bible calls Ethiopian. Actually, Moses married a Cushite. Moses' wife was a Cushite. And so we know that the bloodline is mixed with ours. And so as the Bible also showed us, when the Romans chased us and chased our fathers out of the promised land because of the sins of our fathers, our people scattered all over, but mostly we went into the land that's now called Africa. As a matter of fact, we also know that in the book of Acts and other places, that there during the feast that came to Jerusalem, because Jerusalem is the only place the Bible tells us we can actually keep feasts. So the people would come from all over for the feast. And in fact, when the Messiah was crucified that day, Shimon, a Hebrew, came from North Africa to worship. And they made Shimon carry Messiah's cross, if you recall. And also some of the leaders, one of the leaders of the early church at Antioch, where the spirit was very heavy, so heavy that the Gentiles started calling the Hebrew disciples Christians. Well, at Antioch, one of the leaders was a man that they called Niger, from which we get the word nigger. Many people don't know that. But the word nigger is just an ignorant way that the Caucasian man is trying to say where we're from, which was Niger, which means black. That's all it is. And Niger was one of the leaders of the Antioch church. In fact, it was him with two other brothers that laid their hand and anointed the apostle who was called Paul. Okay? Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you all hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Is it good in Hangouts? Isha, is it good in Hangouts? Are you hearing it? Okay. Okay. So now, where was I? Right. So we've been talking about Egypt. And today in chapter 31, the Most High is again speaking to Egypt. But what he is going to do today, as we're studying chapter 31, is he's going to use the Assyrians as an object lesson to the Egyptians. Somebody might well ask a question, why would he do that? And what is the purpose of that? Let us look at a couple of scriptures before we go there, as we normally do. I want to look at a couple of scriptures. First of all, let's go to 2 Thessalonians. 2 Thessalonians, a very well-known verse of scripture for most people at this time in these last days. 2 Thessalonians. I'm going to begin in 2 Thessalonians. Let's see. I'm going to begin at verse 1, from verse 1. And I'm going to go down to verse 12. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Chapter 2, from verse 1 to verse 12. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, from verse 1 to verse 12. Okay, let's look at the scripture. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of the Master Yahushua the Messiah, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that day of Messiah is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called Most High, or that is worshipped, so that he as Most High sitteth in the temple of Most High, showing himself that he is Most High. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things? And now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. Then shall that wicked be revealed, whom Yahweh shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Please turn off your microphone in Hangouts. Somebody's microphone is on in Hangouts. Hold on. Somebody's microphone is on in Hangouts. There you go. Thank you. Okay. Very good. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Let's go back. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause Yahweh shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. There's a couple of things I want to point out here that are going to be very important as we go into Ezekiel this evening. The first thing I want you to understand is that the apostle is speaking by the Father's Spirit here, and what he is saying by the Father's Spirit is that the Messiah will not return until there first be a falling away. Okay, a falling away. Now, remember, I just want you to understand. Cliff, it's your microphone. You got to turn off your microphone. Cliff, it's your microphone. That's on. It's your microphone. That's on. Cliff. Clifford is going to take a minute. It takes a minute for him to hear because the words are a little delayed. He's in a different country. Yeah. Testing 1, 2, 3. Our hearts. It's your microphone. You got to turn off. Cliff. There you go. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, there you go. If you're in Hangouts, you got to turn off your microphone. Otherwise, there's going to be an echo. If you're in Hangouts, there's going to be an echo. Yeah, Cliff's his mic wasn't his mic was not turned off. So if you go into Hangouts, just remember you got to mute your microphone. Otherwise, there's going to be an echo. Now, a couple of things I wanted to bring out here. The first thing is the apostle is prophesying, and he's saying that the Messiah would not return until there was a falling away first. Now, what did he mean by that? Well, if you're a Christian, you're really not going to understand. You're going to look through a glass darkly and you're not going to see. But if, as an Israelite, it's very clear what happens here. You see, brothers and sisters, and I want to tell you why. The Apostle Paul was sent to the Gentiles. He wasn't sent to make the Gentiles into Christians. He was sent to cause the Gentiles to follow the Hebrew Messiah of the nation of Israel. He was sent to have them converted to the Hebrew Messiah and therefore to the God of the Israelites. Testing 1, 2, 3. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what he was sent to bring a gospel, a good news, a message of the Father's righteousness to Gentiles. And I don't mean there are some that teach that the Gentiles are Israelites from the northern tribes that were scattered. No, these are Caucasian people. And the Bible shows that these are sons of Japhet to the north that he was sent to bring this message to. Okay? And he said there was going to be a falling away first. In other words, the true Hebrews would fall away. Well, we know that happened. We were scattered all over the earth and taken into slavery. The Bible showed us that. So that's the falling away that he's talking about. So there was a falling away of the Israelite nation. Now, why is that important? Brothers and sisters, I think we've studied the Bible enough. And as we look at Ezekiel, you are definitely going to see this. There will be no redemption to the earth without the chosen people awakening first. I need y'all to hear me. There won't be a redemption for the Gentiles unless the chosen people are awakened first, because it's for them first. Okay? So he said the Messiah is not going to come because you Gentiles got this truth. No, there's going to be a falling away of the Hebrews. And we've seen that. Not only that, as a result of the falling away of the Hebrews, the Gentiles would eventually fall into this man that he talks about here, where he says, the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. This is the Catholic Church. Because of the falling away of the Hebrews, the Israelites, the people that became converted and grafted in, they were faithful. And then their generation, a generation or two after them, was faithful. But then came Constantine. Then came Rome. Then came Christianity. And then came with that the man of sin, who exalts himself as if he's a god. The one that they call, wait a minute, wait for it, Holy Father. Now let me ask you all. I'm actually, in this question, I know I'm talking to the choir, but I just want to ask you. How many Holy Fathers are there? How many Holy Fathers are right? Ain't but one. As a matter of fact, he says in his word, he says, there is no most high beside me, a just and a faithful most high. He said, there is none else. He said, I know not any. But yet we know, am I telling the truth, that there is a man on the earth who has a certain office, and they call this man Holy Father. Am I exaggerating that, or do they do that? Yes. And so he exalteth and opposeth everything that is called Most High. They have their own set of laws. They have their own set of rules and beliefs. They do opposite. They give no honor and glory to the God of the Israelite nation, nor to his people. As a matter of fact, they are involved in the enslavement and the oppression of the true Israelite nation. Okay? So this is what the scripture is talking about. Now, I also mentioned that the Most High is interested in trying to redeem some of the sons of Japhet. He's interested in doing that. I also mentioned that this will not happen without the total awakening and reconstitution of the true bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It won't happen until that is complete. Now, we're talking today about Ezekiel chapter 31. And I told you that he's going to continue speaking to Egypt, and he's going to be using Assyria as an object lesson. And here in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, there's one that what I just revealed to you, what I just showed you, what I just shared with you is only part of the message. The most important message for what we're talking about today in Ezekiel is in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and this is in verses 10, 11, and 12. The last three verses we read in this part of the scripture. I want to read those again. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 10, 11, and 12, which will be the main discussion of topic for the object lesson of the Egyptians that the Father is going to use through his prophet Ezekiel by using the Assyrians. Let's take a look here. With all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause Yahweh shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. Why? That they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. This is the test today for the sons of Japhet. First order of business in these last days in which we live, for a person that's going to be delivered from sin, for a person that's going to bear witness, listen carefully, for persons that are going to bear witness of the Father's righteousness. And this is what we're here for. This is why we are delivered. This is why we are, quote unquote, saved. We are delivered. We are saved that we might bear witness of the Father's righteousness. Testing 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes, Heavenly Father, in the name of the Messiah, Yahweh, please cause your name and your word to be uplifted and glorified. Please cause all the people here to be able to hear according to your divine will, according to your mercy, according to your righteousness. In the name of the Messiah we pray. Yahweh. Amen. Yes, we can see that there's going to be some disruption, and we know why. We know why already. We know why. Praise the Most High Yah. So the first order of business, oxen, akos, brothers and sisters, Israelite people, is a person that's going to bear witness of the Father's righteousness, is a person that's going to be humble, repentant, and have a love for the truth. Did you hear me? A person that's going to be humble and repentant and have a love for the truth. You can see here, it said that they will perish because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. You see, brothers and sisters, any person or persons that truly receives of the Father's righteousness, his perfect righteousness, without which we could not be saved. A person that receives that, with it comes certain things. It's like a package. It's like if you get cable and you say, I don't want HBO. I just want ESPN. They say, okay, you could get ESPN, but ESPN comes with a package. So you're going to get Fox, you're going to get MSNBC, you're going to get these other channels with ESPN because you don't have to have HBO, but these come with the package. Well, brothers and sisters, when the Father's Spirit comes on a person, it comes with a package. And part of the package of his righteousness is a love for the truth. Okay? That's part of the package. You don't have to try to have that. When you humble yourself before the Father and confess your sin, and in the name of the Messiah, ask for your sin to be cleansed, and ask the Father to put his righteousness on, what you're going to find, first you're going to change. I guarantee you're going to change. And you're going to have a love for things that are true. And your spirit is going to bear witness with the Father's Spirit that's working on you and in you. What you're hearing is true or what you're hearing is not true. And you'll hate or love it based on whether it's true, because that's the Father's Spirit working in you. Just so when people don't have a love for the truth, when they glorify man. See, that's the one that, when you glorify man, you're after the spirit of that man. That's the man of sin who glorifies and exalts himself. And everybody calling him Holy Father. You don't have to be a Catholic to be of that spirit. And when you're not of the Father's Spirit, you are liable to fight against righteousness. You are liable to not have a love of the truth. The truth is liable to make you angry. And that's why the Bible says, Yahushua added to the church daily such as should be saved. Because not everybody's going to be saved. I'm not saying the Father doesn't have enough room in his kingdom for everybody. Oh, he absolutely does. But because of the requirements of a humble spirit, because of the requirements of the Father's righteousness and repentance, because of the requirements that comes with that package of a love for the truth, most people ain't going to make it. Especially, I dare say, the sons of Yafet. Because brothers and sisters, it's a natural occurrence that power and authority corrupts a human being. It's a natural thing. When a person has power, authority, it naturally corrupts them. They start to think that they're more than they are. It's just a natural thing. And if you ever seen, I'll give you a very a story about. Okay, there was a woman I met. She lived in a project building. She was poor. Older lady. She didn't have anything. Didn't have no money. Didn't have nothing. Basically, just what she had, some old furniture in her place, clothes on her back. And she had living with her grandchildren and children in her project building. And I got a call from her when I was in the financial planning business. She wanted me to come and sell her some life insurance because she didn't have anything. And she thought, well, at least if I die or when I die, they can bury me and I can leave a little money to my grandchildren. It was a small insurance policy, enough to bury her and maybe leave $1,000 or $2,000. But once she got that life insurance policy, not only was her family scheming as who's going to get the couple of thousand that would be left over, she herself started getting puffed up about it. Because she had a life insurance policy. They didn't have, it's just, you see, they didn't have anything. So this little life insurance policy, everybody was scheming on, and she was all puffed up like she was the queen now, because now everybody got to listen to her, because otherwise you wouldn't get this $1,000 or $2,000 I got left. Now, you know that sounds silly, right? But that's just an example. If people get any inkling of any authority on this earth, the more they got, the worse it could be. And if you're a group of people like the sons of Gog and Magog, the sons of Japhet, the so-called white people of the earth that have been dominant on this earth for 2,000 years, look, you can't help. And listen, I'm just trying to be honest and tell y'all the truth. You can't help but have a sense of entitlement. And y'all know you'll have it. Now, there's some, and some of y'all are blessed, that have been suffering all your life. You've been poor. You lived in bad places. You lived with black people and Spanish people. And you suffered. And some of y'all come to the truth. You know why? Because you didn't experience that sense of entitlement like some of your cousins did. Right? And you think because of that maybe you were left behind. But no. If you were able to come to this truth, you were blessed. You were blessed because most of your cousins ain't gonna make it. Because that sense of entitlement, that sense of supremacy stops them from being able to receive a love of the truth. Now let me show you something. Luke chapter 19, Messiah was walking through a town, through Jericho. The town was Jericho. Now, as he's walking through Jericho, of course, at this time, there's a crowd of people around him because, Messiah was known after a while because not only because of the power of the Spirit of the Father that just comes off of him and that was with his words, but because he was walking around going through entire cities and towns and healing everybody. The Bible says that. I mean, he was laying hands on people and speaking his word and healing everybody. So people was crowding around him. So he's walking in through Jericho and there's a crowd around him. And ahead of him, there's this little short Hebrew man. A short little Hebrew man. But this little Hebrew man was rich. He was a tax collector. And he saw Messiah walking. And he was afraid he wouldn't be able to see him if he got too close. So the little Hebrew man, he climbs up a sycamore tree and he looks, because he's trying to get a good view of the Messiah because he wants to see him. You see, there was things going on in that man's life that nobody knew but the Messiah. You see, brothers and sisters, y'all need to understand. Messiah is a representation of the Father. As the Father thinks, so Messiah thinks. As the Father sees, so Messiah sees. Because the Father gave him that. So Messiah already knew about this man before he saw the man. Messiah already knew the man's life before he saw the man. Just like he knew that woman at the well when she said, I have no husband. He said, oh, you said that right. Because you've had 5 husbands. And the man you live with now, he ain't even your husband. He said, in that you said truly. Read that woman's life because he knew all about her before she even knew what was going on. So here he's walking up on Zacchaeus, the tax collector, the Hebrew. And he knows all about Zacchaeus. But the people don't know nothing about him except that he's a tax collector. And the Hebrews hated tax collectors because they were collecting taxes for the Romans. It was like the IRS of that day. I don't know anybody that loves the IRS. I don't know anybody that loves the IRS. Well, the tax collectors of Zacchaeus' day were like the IRS. They came to collect. And a lot of times they collected more than they were supposed to collect. And so they gave the Romans what they were supposed to give them. But then they kept some for themselves. And a lot of them became rich. So let's take up the story in Luke chapter 19. Beginning at verse 1. Luke chapter 19, beginning at verse 1 and reading down to verse 10. Luke chapter 19 from verse 1 to 10. And Yahushua entered and passed through Jericho. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, which was the chief among the publicans. And he was rich. And he sought to see Yahushua who he was, and could not for the press, because he was little of stature. And he ran before and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way. And when Yahushua came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said unto him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at thy house. And he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. And when he saw it, and when they saw it, they all murmured, saying that he was gone to be guest with a man that is a sinner. And Zacchaeus stood and said unto Yahushua, Behold, Master, the half of my goods I give to the poor. And if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I restore him fourfold. And Yahushua said unto him, This day is salvation come to this house. For so much that he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. Now I want to tell you something. Obviously, the people saw Zacchaeus in a certain way. Most of the IRS people were thieves. And Zacchaeus was the chief one, so obviously he was the chief thief. But there were things going on in his life. The Spirit of the Father had touched this Hebrew. And he started repenting for his sin. And notice what he said. He said, I give half what I have to the poor. See, now he didn't make a big deal of it. The people didn't know he did that, but the Father knew and he knew. Okay, he gave half what he had to the poor. And then he said, if I taken anything, in other words, the tax collectors were used to taking a little bit extra on the side. He said, if I did that and I did it to anybody, I gave him back 4 times, because that's what the law said. He said, don't despise a thief if he steals from you because he's hungry. He said, but if he's caught, he must restore 4 times what he stole. That's the law of the Most High. So he said, that's why he said that. He said, if I took anything from false accusation, I restored 4 times what I took from the man. And what Messiah said to him, he said, this day salvation is come to this house. Wait, let's stop there. Why did salvation come to the house? Not just because of Zechariah's repentance, not just because Zechariah restored fourfold everything that he stole. Why did salvation come to his house? Because Messiah came and confirmed everything. You see, brothers and sisters, you could do good work. You could repent, but that's why, unless Messiah is interceding on our behalf and confirms to the Father, yes, I accept this, you can forget it. So Messiah said to him, this day is salvation. He's making the announcement. I'm confirming, brother. I'm confirming, Hebrew. You say, you good. You good. You are Israel. You Yasha'al. You're good. You're right with my Father. This day, salvation has come to this house. And then he didn't stop there. He said, for so much as he also is a son of Abraham. Why did he add that? Why didn't he just stop and say salvation has come to this house? Because if you recall, he said he came to say, Gabriel made the announcement from the Father that Messiah came to save his people from their sins. His people being the Hebrews. And so he said, this man is a Hebrew. He's the son of Abraham. And salvation has come to him because I came to seek and save the lost Hebrews. That's what he came for. He came to seek and save the lost Hebrews. Now, somebody would rightly ask, and I know the Gentiles, the sons of Yefet, get all worried, and they start getting all worried. Well, what about us? What you trying to say? He don't like white people. He's not white. That's what they, wait, before you start getting all up in arms. He came to save his Hebrew people, right? And the design is that through the Hebrew people, there will be a revelation of the Father's righteousness in the Messiah given to the Gentiles. See, let's take a look at that. Let's get some witnesses for that. And we can stay here in the book of Luke for one of the witnesses. It's Luke chapter 3, I believe. Yeah, Luke chapter 2. No, Luke chapter 2. Yeah. Luke chapter 2. Luke 2, we can stay in Luke for one of the witnesses, from verse 25 down to verse 32. Luke chapter 2 from 25 to 32. Notice what it says, Luke 2, 25 to 32. And behold, there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Shimon. The same was a just and devout, waiting for the consolation of Yasha'al, and the set apart spirit was upon him. And it was revealed unto him by the set apart spirit that he should not see death before he had seen. He should not. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Y'all know what's happening here. Hang on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, somebody jumped Hangouts. I just put a new address in there so you can see the address. There's a new address now. I just put the new address in there. Can y'all hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. You can't hear me. Okay, hang on 1 second. Hold on. Yeah, we are definitely getting attacked today. Definitely getting attacked. Hang on. Okay, so I just put the new Hangouts address up. Is it still breaking up? Kimmy, hold on. Is it still breaking up? Can you all hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Is it still breaking up? Bathaman, Kimmy, can you hear? It's still breaking up. I don't know what else to do because, usually Hangouts is pretty clear. We're getting attacked today. Praise the Most High, but the phone is still recording, so we're getting that. Okay. Yes. Can anyone hear? Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you please type a 1? I just want to make sure everyone can hear. Okay, Kimmy, you can hear. Okay, good. I just want to make sure. Okay, Isha, you can hear. Okay, cool. Okay. All right. Let's start again. Luke chapter 2. Luke chapter 2 from verse 25 to verse 32. Luke chapter 2 from verse 25 to verse 32. And behold, there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Shimon. The same man was just and devout, waiting for the consolation of Israel. And the set-apart spirit was upon him. And it was revealed unto him by the set-apart spirit that he should not see death before he had seen Yahweh's Messiah. And he came by the Spirit into the temple. And when the parents brought in the child Yahushua to do for him after the custom of the law, then took he him up in his arms and blessed Yahweh and said, Yahweh, now lettest thou thy servant depart in peace, according to thy word. For mine eyes have seen thy salvation, which thou hast prepared before the face of all people, a light to lighten the Gentiles and the glory of thy people, Israel. A light to lighten the Gentiles. Now, when you look in the Greek translation for the word lighten, the Gentiles, it is the word revelation, to bring a revelation to the Gentiles. So the Gentiles that are going to be saved are going to receive a revelation of the glory of the people of Yashar. Do you see that? It says the glory of thy people, Israel. So you have the Israelite people, they have a Messiah among them, and that Messiah is going to bring a revelation to the Gentiles, so that the Gentiles that are saved are going to be saved because of this revelation of the Messiah, the Hebrew Messiah. That is the glory of his true people. Now, somebody might say, why am I stressing the Hebrew Messiah? Because white Jesus from the Christian church is not the glory of the Israelite people. I want to say that again. White Jesus from the Christian church is not the glory of the Israelite people. He is the glory of the Christian church and the Roman Catholic Church, but he is not the glory of the Israelite people. Y'all following what I'm saying? There is an Israelite Hebrew Messiah of the tribe of Judah who is a glory of his true people, the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That man is going to be revealed to the Gentiles, who, when the Gentiles receive that man, whoever Gentiles receive him, they're going to be delivered from sin. And it's not all the Gentiles, obviously. And we cannot go by all of these people that claim to be quote-unquote Christians. That's not what we're dealing with. Now, I'm not saying that there were ignorant Christians that didn't know what we're talking about right now and in the past have received the white Jesus and might be saved. I'm not saying that, because the Most High, is not for me to say who's getting in the kingdom. That's for him to say. But one thing I do know, that when there's present truth, the people that have a love for the truth are the ones that are going to receive salvation. We just read it. So as this present truth is being revealed, as the Bible has shown us and will continue to show us as we study Ezekiel, that there is an awakening of the true bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. As this awakening is taking place, the earth is going to receive the message. And see, this is the thing, brothers and sisters. This is the thing. Because of the falling away of the Israelites, the rejection of the Messiah, of the Israelites, and the falling away and the scattering of that people into captivity, into, as Messiah said, into all the earth, into captivity and by the sword. Because of that, the earth is not able to receive Messiah. But the Most High has ordained, as we read here, Exodus chapter 19. Here's another witness. Exodus chapter 19. Exodus chapter 19. I'm going to read from verse 4, 5, and 6. Exodus 19, 4, 5, and 6. Notice what it says. Exodus chapter 19, 4, 5, and 6. This is the Most High Yah talking to his servant Moses. Notice what it says. Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine. And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Yasha'al. The Most High ordained the Hebrew people to be a kingdom of priests and a holy or set apart nation above all the people of the earth. So that, why? So that not only will his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob be fulfilled, not only would his promises to David be fulfilled, not only would his promises to Noah be fulfilled, his promises to Adam be fulfilled, not only that, but that through this chosen people, he would bring salvation to all people of the earth. Every person, all the Gog and Magog, all the sons of Japhet that want the truth. All of them. But of course, we know the scripture shows us that the majority, at least 5, 6 in these last days, are not going to receive this truth. The majority, above 80% of them, are going to reject it. And why? Because of pride. Because being in power for so long, being privileged for so long, they are used to trusting in their power. They're used to trusting in man. I want to show you something. You see, brothers and sisters, absolute power corrupts absolutely. It was because of the Israelite nation's sins that we got scattered in the first place. And that started because the Most High blessed Israel, gave them a land, gave them a government, gave them a system of worship, gave them everything that they could ask for and more. And they turned around and gotten all high and mighty and started worshiping other gods. And they did it for over 1,000 years. And he finally said, enough, I'm going to scatter you throughout the earth. I'm going to scatter you. And he told Daniel, the time is going to be long. It's going to be long. This is going to be a long situation, man. Like more than 2,000 years. And isn't that what we have seen? It's been more than 2,000 years. Okay? He said, the time is long. This ain't no short thing. Okay? And the time came between, see, I'm going to break something down that might be a little deep. I'm just warning y'all. But we have done videos on this. But the feasts of the Most High are not only just feasts for us as we get into the promised land, which they are. They are feasts that represent us in victory in the promised land over sin, over our enemies, over everything that oppressed us, over Satan. And it represents us receiving the promises. Not only that, but they are signs of the people of the earth. The Passover, which we're in that time now, is coming in the next few weeks. The Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread is a sign of Messiah who covers, his blood covers the chosen people. And the removal of leaven, the removal of sin from the chosen people. Them eating the bread of life, which is Messiah without sin. And the Messiah's blood covering them. Passover. 50 days later, Pentecost, the Feast of Weeks, the Feast of the First Fruits, which represented the first fruits of the Messiah's victory over sin for his people, which came upon the apostles in the 120 first in the upper room. Those were 120 Hebrews in the upper room. And that message came on the day of Pentecost when all the Hebrews came from all over the earth to worship in Jerusalem at the feast as they were supposed to. That day was not no Gentiles there. Those were Hebrews that came from all over the earth to come and worship at Jerusalem because that's the only place you could keep a feast. And they came. And that's when the first fruits of the Father's Spirit was poured out and the apostles received it. That's like Messiah said. They said, Master, well, at this time, will you restore the kingdom to Israel? Not understanding, of course, what we understand now. They weren't ready to receive the kingdom. We're getting prepared to receive the kingdom. Okay? We're getting prepared so you got to be prepared to receive the kingdom. I'll go into that in a second. You can't just walk in the kingdom. You got to be ready to receive the kingdom. You can't just walk in there any kind of way. No. I don't care what these Gentiles are about. Come as you are. No, listen here. You better be prepared to walk in the kingdom. I'm going to tell you about that in a second. But he said, no, it's not for you to know the times and the seasons which the Father has in his own power. But he told them, you're going to receive power. When the set apart spirit comes upon you from the Father, you're going to receive power. And then when you receive that power, he said, you're going to be witnesses unto me, unto Jerusalem, unto Samaria, and unto the uttermost parts of the earth. That's what he said. And so the Pentecost represented the outpouring, the down payment, the earnest, as the Bible calls it, the down payment of the Father's Spirit, which was later to come. Now, from that time, the next holy convocation is the trumpets followed by the Day of Atonement. That's the long time. The sign. See, you would think that same year, AD 31, you had the Passover, Messiah was crucified. You had the Feast of Weeks, Messiah was not only resurrected, but he was ascended and he sent down the Spirit 10 days later unto his chosen people in Jerusalem as a down payment, as a sign of what was to come. Well, that same year, there was going to be a Day of Atonement in Jerusalem. But that wasn't the one. Because he said at that point, Daniel was told that unto 2,300 days, then the sanctuary shall be cleansed. See, the next thing to happen wasn't the feast, it was the cleansing of the sanctuary. And Daniel was told unto 2,300 days, then the sanctuary is going to be cleansed. The time is long. He said the time is long. So there was going to be 2,000 years between what happened there in Pentecost and the cleansing of the heavenly sanctuary. That sign. Well, it's already happened now. It's past. Most people don't realize it. It has. 1844 was 2,300 years. Okay? And you say, well, what's going on now? Now there's a delay. See, he was ready. Father, see, this is the thing. Father's trying to show us from the mid-1800s, he was ready to deliver his chosen people from chains. He was ready to come back mid-1800s. But the 144,000 were not prepared. So the Father is now putting emphasis on the preparation of 144,000. He's putting a big emphasis on that. And that's why there's a delay. You think it's been what? It's been 100 and what? 100 and what? 180 years, 190 years? 200 years, 200 something years since 1844. What is it? My math is bad this night. It's what is it? Let me see. It's 175 years. 175 years. That's right. You say, well, that's a long time. Let me hear. You think 175 years is a long time to the Father? Especially something as important as the development and preparation of his last 144,000 who are going to be messengers to this earth? That ain't no long time. That's a short time. And let me tell you something else. We are even shorter right now, because right now we're coming down on this last Jubilee right here in 2027. This is the last one. This is the last Jubilee before the Messiah returns, 2027. We're getting at the end of it right now. And the Jubilee that we get ready is a prelude to the last sign, which is the Feast of Tabernacles, which is the Feast of Ingathering, which is a representation that's represented in Revelation chapter 14 very clearly. And the Feast of Ingathering is represented because that's when he's going to gather his people for the last time that are his. As he said, and let's look at this second witness. We're talking about the Gentiles, right? We're talking about the Gentiles receiving the truth, having a love for the truth, right? Notice, let me tell you something. The first thing, that's why I'm telling y'all, the first thing has to happen is the Hebrews got to awaken first. See, Gentiles are not going to receive this message in this fullness until the Hebrew awakening is done. That's what the 144,000, make no mistake, 144,000 Hebrew men. That would be black and Hispanic men. Wait, black and Hispanic men. I just want y'all to know that. When they're awakened and sealed, you Gentiles can get this thing now. I mean, en masse at that point. Okay? Isaiah, notice what it says. Isaiah, I'm going to start Isaiah chapter 11. Isaiah chapter 11, I'm going to start at verse 10 and go from verse 10 down to verse 16. Isaiah chapter 11, 10 to 16. Notice what it says. We're talking about Gentiles being saved. We're talking about coming together again of the Israelite nation. It all comes together in this chapter. This is our second witness. Notice again, this might be our third witness. The mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Notice what it says. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse. That's the Mashiach Yahushua, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, that's the 144,000, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Pathros and from Cush and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Amath, and from the islands of the sea. Why? Because we've been scattered into slavery. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and they shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the 4 corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea. With his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make men go over dry shod. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel, and the day when he came up out of the land of Egypt. Yeah. So brothers and sisters, as we're seeing here, and I'm telling you, this is all leading to Ezekiel 31. We're getting ready to go to Ezekiel 31. We've been hindered, we've been delayed, but it's okay. It's all good. All good. Notice again, I want to show you one more thing here. Revelation. No, two more things. I'm sorry. Let me show you two more things right before we get there. Let me show you two more things. Because we talk about this here. And again, I'm showing you because as you're going to see, he's going to use Assyria as an object lesson to Egypt. And there's a reason for that. So let's take a look. First, Daniel. Let's go to Daniel. We've been talking about Daniel for a minute tonight. So let's go to Daniel chapter 4. Daniel chapter 4. Daniel is counseling Nebuchadnezzar, who is the most powerful man on planet Earth at that time. This black man was the most powerful man on planet Earth at that time. He was the king of Babylon, which was the most powerful nation on the earth at that time. He was the head of gold. Most High gave it to him. There's not going to be a Gentile kingdom like that after that. Ever. Everything else is like degraded. Because you had the gold, the silver, then you had the brass, then you had the iron, then you had the clay. See, the gold was the head. That's the top. That's Babylon. It's Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon. Notice again, Daniel chapter 4. Daniel chapter 4. Daniel is trying to counsel the king to humble himself before it's too late. So we're going to start at verse 27. We're going to start at verse 27. And I'm going to read Daniel chapter 4 from verse 27 down to verse 31. Daniel 4, 27 to 31. Daniel says, "Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee. Break off thy sins by righteousness, and thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of thy tranquility." All this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, that is 12 months after he received this counsel from Daniel, at the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. And the king spake and said, listen to what he says now, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? And while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee. You see, the Bible says pride goes before a fall, right? Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. You see, brothers and sisters, the problem with the Gentiles at this time is the same problem that Nebuchadnezzar had at that time. Most of the Gentiles are used to getting what they want. Why do you think that the United States of America has engenders such fear among the other nations of the earth? People talk a lot of mess about the United States, but they won't mess with the United States. You know why they won't mess with the United States? Because the United States of America has already shown. The last people to talk big mess to the United States and try to touch the United States land was Japan. December 7th, 1941. They came and they bombed our land, the United States land. Let me put it that way. Not our land, but the United States land. They came and they bombed Pearl Harbor. Them are the last people to actually come over here with that kind of stuff. And what happened? They dropped 2 serious bombs, wipe out 2 whole cities. Now everybody's afraid of nuclear war. Everybody's afraid of that on the earth. They're afraid of everybody. They're afraid of it. And you know why? Because we have these Caucasian people that run America have already shown the earth. You mess with us, if you threaten our power, and if you come on our land, we will blow you up. And if we need to blow us up too, we blow the whole thing up. So everybody know these Caucasian people, these sons of Yefet, crazy. And they will do it. Let me tell you something. The Bible shows us in Revelation chapter 7 that he has commanded 4 angels to hold back winds. You know what that means? You know what, brothers and sisters? Let me be honest and true with you. If he did not do that, these sons of Yefet would have killed each other off the earth with us also long time ago. Long time ago. It would have already happened. That's why Messiah said, except he should shorten the days, they should no flesh be saved. Let me tell you what's coming. As this next recession comes, and this one is engineered, it's going to be worse than the 2008 one, the one we're getting ready to get right here. And every time what happens now, the sons of Yafet are consolidating their power in the top 1%. They don't really care about even their cousins that's in the middle class. They don't care about them anymore. They just consolidating their power in the top. And what they're doing, you're going to see, brothers and sisters, those of us that have been poor for generations, mostly us black people and the Hispanic people, we've been poor for generations. We've been seeing so many days of, my wife and I used to call them survival mode. We've been in survival mode for generations, man. So when hard times come, hey, it's just another hard time. But to some of these children of Yafet that's been living life, the life of Riley for a couple of centuries in the middle class, they can't handle this. And they're going to start with what you're already seeing it. They start taking all these opioids. A lot of them committing suicide. In fact, the number one cause of death among middle-aged Caucasian males today is suicide and opioid abuse. Those are the two. Suicide and opioid abuse. Because their cousins at the 1% at the top is destroying them too. They don't care. They want to be God. They got to dominate. And if you one of their cousins, don't matter if you in lower class, they will step on you. And they're doing it. And then you're starting to see these Caucasians get together in gangs and blame all their troubles on the Mexicans. It's the Mexicans coming across the border. We need a wall. Well, it's just a whole different boogeyman now. Before, it was the black people. We can't let them have what we have. Not them niggas. See? It's always a boogeyman. And so you're going to see more of these Nazis, these white supremacy, all of that. You're going to see more of that. You're going to see more suicide. You're going to see more of them killing their own families off. You're going to see more of them walking up into places with Uzis and shooting everybody to death. You're going to see more and more of that. Because they're not being able to handle what their cousins are doing to them with this Federal Reserve. That's the truth. And the Most High is trying to bless y'all. He's trying to show you, humble yourself, turn to righteousness, turn to truth. Listen to this message and come to the truth before it's too late. Testing 1, 2, 3. Can y'all hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Yeah, this one is tough, huh? So, Revelation chapter 18. This one's going to go a little longer because of all our delays. But Revelation chapter 18, y'all should be used to that by now. Revelation 18. Notice again, this is talking about Babylon. Revelation chapter 18. I'm going to read from verse 4 down to verse 7. Revelation chapter 18. Actually, from verse 4 to 8. Revelation chapter 18. 4 to 8. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double." How much has she have glorified herself, and lived deliciously? So much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I am a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Most High Yah, who judgeth her. Brothers and sisters, this is what's already begun. It's already begun. Okay? People try to hide it with all this entertainment and this reality TV and all this, but it's already started. Okay? It's already started, and it's going to get stronger. And this is how we know. Because, see, brothers and sisters, right now, like I said, this next economic collapse, if you've been paying attention, maybe most people haven't, and I'm not trying to down people that haven't, I'm trying to wake y'all up to pay attention now. But since 1981-82, pretty much every 10 years been a serious economic collapse. From 1981 82. Now, we've had recessions before that. Recessions come in this capitalistic society. But I mean strong ones, where there's a big unemployment, where there's double-digit unemployment, where people are struggling bad. From 81 82, every 10 years you've been getting that. And it lasts like a year or two. It's hard. So 82, 81, you had one. Then like 89 to 91, you had one. Then all of a sudden 1999, 2000, 2001, you had one. And then, of course, we know this last one, 2008, 2009. Okay, so we're about due. This is 2019. We're about due. It's coming. And every one that comes is worse than the ones before it. That's what we've been seeing. Every one that comes is worse than the ones before. And this is engineered. They're doing this because it's Rome's policy to have just two classes, the rich and powerful and the poor. So they got to destroy the middle class. The problem with the American system of economics is, so for most of the time, it was built on the backs of the black slave, so that they had a very strong, thriving middle class. See, that's the truth about it. The middle class in America was built on the back of the black slave. And the wealth class too. And based on that springboard, they had a big middle class for a long time. I know people don't want to hear this truth, but I'm going to speak it anyway. It's the truth anyhow. You can receive it or don't. See, brothers, let me just give you a little side note. Let me give you a disclaimer. I don't care if people receive it or not. Maybe that's the problem with me. I don't care. What I do care about is the Father. I want the Father to be able to say, and I want the Messiah to be able to say, well done. That's all I care about. And so I want to give the truth as His Spirit brings it to my mind. I don't care what people receive it. I don't care if they don't receive it. I don't care. What I do care about, though, is Messiah and what the Father think. And so if He puts something in my tongue, you getting it. You may not like it. You may not like the sound of it. You may not like the taste of it. That is not my problem. My problem is with the Father. I got to answer to Him. I got to give an account. This ain't about money. This ain't about nobody's church or denomination. This is about the straight, unvarnished truth of His word. And so I'm telling you. This economy was built on the back of the Hebrew. It was built on his back. They had, look, let me ask you a question. Testing 1, 2. Don't make sure you can hear me now. Testing 1, 2, 3. Listen to me. If you were in charge of a company and you had 5 million workers working for your company and they were working for free. And they were working for free. You had 5 million of them working for free. And not only that, they were working for free for over 200 years for your company. And you got fabulously wealthy off of these 5 million people working for your company for free for 200 years. Let me ask you now, how many generations would that wealth last? I mean, that would last a long time, wouldn't it? That wealth would last a long time because that is exactly the situation. They brought the Hebrews to the shores of this country here in the United States in the 1600s. They brought them to Jamaica, what's now Jamaica and Puerto Rico and Haiti. They brought them all in the 1500s. And for more than 200 years, they were getting free labor and selling cotton and sugar and tobacco and getting paid what would today be trillions of dollars in terms of inflation for free. So this whole system was built on, this whole world system was built on the back of the Hebrew slave. Okay? Built on his back. There's no question. And they still, to this day, are exploiting us the same way. We just don't recognize it. We think because they took metal chains off of most of us, until some of us on chain gangs in jail, but because they took most of the metal chains off some of us, that we free. See? We not free. When you still owe people money, and when that money is paid in currency that is owned by your slave master, you are not free. You hear me? When you owe money and you have to pay money to somebody, and that money is the currency of Caesar, you are not free. And that's what we're doing. We depend on Caesar's dollars. We work for Caesar's dollars. We're not free. Okay? Period. And so this whole thing, this whole system was built on the back of the Hebrew slave. And so, because of it, they got so used to that. And I'm just talking in the last, 400 odd, 500 years. But this has been going on. Rome started this long time ago. But they started first exploiting the Indians, taking their land. And they exploited their own cousins too. But then, as we starting to get close, the Hebrews, they were coming into Africa, stealing all the resources. They still doing it. Been doing this a long time, but it's coming to an end, and here it is. You're going to get judged. See, when the Most High starts to bring the noise, man can't control it. See, they talking about global warming. You know why they talking about global warming so much, brothers and sisters? You know why? And even they trying to exploit that for money. But you know why? Because it's not under their control. They're very worried about it. Because they're not controlling it. They can't stop it. You got people begging us, please stop the gases from going into the thing. Do what you can. Stop it now because it's going crazy. Because you know why? Because they cannot stop it. They cannot control it. And this is the watchword in the time in which we live for the majority. It's about control. In this era in which we live, you'll notice even down to relationships, people are into control. People want to control other people. Have you noticed that? Even down to relationships, you start dealing with somebody and then all of a sudden they're trying to tell you how to dress. They're trying to tell you how to eat. They're trying to tell you where to show up and when to show up. And if you don't do it, there's a problem. That's what happened. This is the era in which we live. People are tripping with control. They're trying to control everything. Why? Because they're used to it. They've been doing it a long time. But this global warming, they can't stop it. They can't stop it. They don't know what to do. Also, quiet is kept. They also realize they're not having enough babies. The Caucasian men that have been dominant on this earth for 2,000 years, their population is dwindling. And they're already concerned. They're concerned that the people, that's why you think they tripping like that in Charlottesville, Virginia, and tripping talking about a wall. They are worried about the brown people overtaking them in this land and in the European land. They're worried about it because they know they're not having enough children and they cannot control it. They can't control it because it's not of them. You see, these economic collapses, they can control that. They can control that and control the economies. This is their thing. This is their game. That's why I'm trying to tell, people, don't pay attention to entertainers because they're making all of this money. That money belongs to Caesar, and that could be taken from them in a moment. They sing and dance and run and jump and tackle for our entertainment and for the entertainment of the Caucasian masses. And they could take that wealth from them boys as quickly as they get it. Believe me. It could disappear just as quick. And it does. I don't know how many umpteen professional athletes are broke that made millions of dollars and they broke. That's not because they dumb. It's because they trusted in this system and they thought they was going to make it in this system. Brothers and sisters, this system is not designed for Hebrews to get ahead. Let me say that again. This system is not designed for Hebrews to get ahead. The only system designed for Hebrews to get ahead is the system of the Most High Yah that's going to come with the Messiah and his kingdom. And he said, you shall be the head and not the tail. You're not going to be the head in Babylon's system. You're not going to be the head in Rome's system, the system that was built on the back of your forefathers. You're never going to be a head in this system. Don't listen to people talk about, we need some economic justice. Come on now. It's not going to happen. But this global warming, this fertility issue that they're having, they can't control that. That's just the beginning of sorrows. This is the start. It's going to get worse. You're going to see more that they can't control. And the more that this happens, you're going to see a lot of people getting angry. You're going to see you're going to see a lot more people killing their families and tripping out. You're going to see a lot. You think this is just start? You hearing about people killing their whole family, husband killing wife and children, children killing parents. You think it's going to get worse. People walking up in high schools and blowing everybody up, busting caps on everybody and killing everybody. You think this people walking up, rolling up on elementary schools and killing little kids? This ain't no joke. What you think this is? This ain't no joke. It's going to get worse. Because brothers and sisters, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And what you end up doing, what's going on, part of the curse on these people, brothers and sisters. And I'm talking to you, Gentile. And pray, y'all should praise those of you that come in this truth, that come out of severe poverty, that come out of severe oppression. And you know who I'm talking about. Some of y'all know y'all been in bad situations. Y'all been raped, y'all been molested, y'all been put in foster home, y'all been in some bad situations. And you come to this truth, you should praise the Most High Yah. Because your cousin's not going to make it. They're not. They're used to control and power. And they're losing it. They're losing it. And you're going to see them get more angry and more crazy. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get crazier. Because when you are in power and in control for so long and you start to lose it, what ends up happening, brothers and sisters, it breeds a spirit, as we read here, it breeds a spirit of pride. It breeds a spirit of narcissism that we're seeing. We're seeing an epidemic of narcissism. We're seeing it. I mean, tell me if you see it. You're seeing an epidemic. It's like a disease, and so many people are narcissistic. And then what they're doing, they bring out Facebook and they bring out YouTube, and what people are doing is they're using it to glorify themselves, to see if they can get 15 minutes of fame, to see if they can get 1 million subscribers, to see if they can get famous and rich. That's what it's about. And it's a narcissist situation in which we're in, and this whole system breeds it. That's what I say to y'all. If the Most High wasn't holding back the winds for the 144,000 to be sealed, this place be destroyed already. They would have destroyed themselves off this earth many times over. Don't let them people talk about we're gonna save the earth. All these people, you need to become vegan and save the earth. Let's get real. These white people would have killed themselves and all of us off this earth if the Most High wasn't holding on to them winds, man. That's the truth about it. I'm just being honest with you. And they will do it unless the Most High is holding back the winds. And he's holding back the winds because he's going to reveal his 144,000, which are going to bring forth the power that this earth ain't seen since the apostles were on the earth. The apostles came on the earth with it. They gave them the down payment of it. But right now, we getting ready. We done already passed the Day of Atonement. And there's a delay. There's been a delay. Generally, the Day of Atonement, there's a Day of Atonement, and there's a 5-day wait until the Feast of Tabernacles. That's what it is. Day of Atonement on the 10th day of the 7th month. Feast of Tabernacles on the 15th day of the 7th month. The 15th day of the 7th month is a representation of the return of Messiah. We have been waiting for 175 years. It's supposed to take 5 prophetic years. So we're 170 years late. Why? Because he's getting ready to bring forth this 144,000. And they getting ready to get this latter rain. They getting ready to get this power to bring the ingathering so the Messiah could come. This ain't no joke. I don't know what people think this is. This ain't no joke, man. We're not playing. And I praise the Most High for his truth. The people that have a love for the truth gonna know I'm telling the truth. That's all I'm saying. People that want to play around and get money and get famous, let them do that, man, because ain't no time for that right now. This is the end of this thing right here. This ain't no joke. So now, Revelation 18 shows us she thinks she's a queen. She thinks these Caucasian people at the top, this 1% at the top that's killing even their cousins. See, some of these Caucasian people need to wake up. And we praise the Most High. Let them bring this economic stuff and think that they're going to consolidate all their gold and silver at the top. Let them do that, because that's going to allow some of these Caucasian people to wake up. See, y'all think it's bad news and don't be jumping off buildings. Those of y'all that love the truth, humble yourself and receive this message so you can be true and you can be in the kingdom. Don't let all this stuff get y'all crazy. I'm trying to talk to that 1/6 that's out there. Because I know 5-6 of y'all are not going to hear this. I'm trying to talk to that 1/6 that's out there. Because the awakening has begun. See, brothers and sisters, it's like the rising of the sun. When the sun get ready to rise, like this morning, I got up this morning, man. Got in my car, went to work. I usually get to work about 6:30 in the morning. I leave my house about 10 after 6. I get there a little after 6:30. And I got out this morning, and it was a little cold, but I could feel spring in the air. And I thought about, and it was an invigorating sunrise coming up. And I get there a little before sunrise. I get there when it's still a little dark, but the sun starts coming up as I'm coming into the office, right? And I'm like, man, this is a blessing. This is powerful. Let me tell you something, man. There is no man on planet Earth that can stop the sun from rising. They can do everything they want to do. They cannot stop the sun from rising. You hear what I'm saying? It's going to rise. No matter if you like it, if you don't like it, it's coming. Well, the awakening has already started. And there's nothing anybody could do about it. It's already started. And it's going to be completed. So with that happening, now your sons of Yafet, you better, I'm trying to tell you, the Most High gave me this message for y'all. Your 160 y'all that's out there, you better wake up, man. Wake up. Be blessed. Don't worry about losing your job. Yeah, you're not going to know. You're going to lose your privilege. Your white supremacy is done. It's done. It's finished. Don't act like it never existed either. That's for those of y'all trying to hide from the truth. Y'all had it for a long time. Now it's done. And I'm trying to tell y'all, if you want to be saved, praise the Most High that your white supremacy is going. Praise the Most High that your privilege is going, because now you got an opportunity to get that penny at the 12th hour. In Messiah's parable, he came out the 12th hour. Said, what y'all doing out here? Said, we waiting for a job. He said, here, take this penny, man. Come on in here and work. And they got the same penny. Those of us that work for 12 hours a day, the people came in at the last hour, got the same penny. Look, y'all better come get this penny, man. Because it's about that time. It's about that time. So now, let us go to what we've been talking about. Now you will understand when we read Ezekiel chapter 31, what it's talking about when he's dealing with Assyria as an object lesson for Egypt. Remember now, he's trying to save the sons and daughters of Mizraim. The Bible showed us in Isaiah chapter 19 that he's going to bring salvation to the Hamitic people. He's going to bring it to them from the Israelites. But he got to first show them an object lesson, just like I just told you about the sons of Yafet. Well, the sons of Yafet are the last ones on the earth that's in this position. But before them, there were the Egyptians and the Assyrians. Before them, that suffered the same situation. See, this last 2,000 years is just the most recent iteration of man trying to exalt itself. But there was 2,000 years before that, where there were the Hamites dominating the earth. Y'all didn't remember that. Where the Babylonians and the Egyptians, the Cushites were dominating this thing. Huh? They had their shot at it. And so what the Most High is trying to show is he said, look, I want to show you my Egyptian people that's going to come now. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you what happened to your cousins, the Assyrians. And I want you to take note of this. Notice Ezekiel chapter 31. Ezekiel 31 from verse 1. Ezekiel 31 from verse 1 down to verse 6. It's a short chapter. That's why we went through all that stuff. Even though it's short, it's got all the messages we've been talking up to this moment in it. Notice what it said. And it came to pass in the 11th year, in the 3rd month, in the 1st day of the month, that the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak unto the Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and to his multitude. Whom art thou like in thy greatness? Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon, with fair branches, and with a shadow, and with a shadowing shroud, and of a high stature. And his top was among the thick boughs. And the waters made him great. The deep set him up on high, with her rivers running round about his plants, and sent out her little rivers unto all the trees of the field. Therefore his height was exalted above all the trees of the field, and his boughs were multiplied, and his branches became long because of the multitude of waters when he shot forth. All the fowls of heaven made their nests in his boughs, and under his branches did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young. Under his shadow dwelt all great nations. See, so he's trying to say, see how the Assyrian was exalted. He was exalted. He was exalted above all the people. Pay attention now. He said he was exalted in Egypt. Watch him. He said, Pharaoh, I want you to, you think you something else, huh, Pharaoh? I'm going to tell you about your cousin Assyria. Okay? From verse 7 down to verse 12. Thus was he fair in his greatness, in the length of his branches. for his root was by great waters. The cedars in the garden of Yahweh could not hide him. The fir trees were not like his boughs, and the chestnut trees were not like his branches, nor any tree in the garden of Yahweh was like unto him in his beauty. I have made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of Yahweh envied him. Therefore, thus saith the Most High Yahweh, because thou hast lifted up thyself in height, and he hath shot up his top among the thick broods, and his heart is lifted up in his height, I have therefore delivered him into the hand of the mighty one of the heathen. He shall surely deal with him. I have driven him out for his wickedness, and strangers of the terrible nations of the nations have cut him off, and have left him upon the mountains. And in all the valleys his branches were fallen, and his boughs are broken by the rivers of the land. And all the people of the earth are gone down from his shadow, and have left him. See? So Assyria was exalted above all. But now, because of his pride, because he was exalted, because he was supreme, because of his privilege, he was knocked down low. Everybody left him. See, he's trying to show Pharaoh, you see, you're getting too big for your britches. I want you to pay attention to what happened to your cousin. Notice again from verse 13. From verse 13 down to verse 16. Upon his ruin shall all the fowls of the heaven remain, and all the beasts of the field shall be upon his branches, to the end that none of all the trees up by the waters exalt themselves for their height, neither shoot up their top among the thick boughs, neither their trees stand up in their height, all that drink water. For they are delivered unto death, to the nether parts of the earth, in the midst of the children of men, with them that go down to the pit. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh. In the day when he went down to the grave, I caused the mourning. I covered the deep for him. I restrained the floods thereof, and the great waters were stayed. And I caused Lebanon to mourn for him, and all the trees of the field fainted for him. I made the nations to shake at the sound of his fall, when I cast him down to hell with them that descend into the pit. All the trees of Eden, the choice and best of Lebanon, and all that drink water shall be comforted in the nether parts of the earth. See, Assyria fell and everybody saw it. Well, let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. It's about to happen. This whole Babylonian system of white supremacy, of Caucasian dominance, is coming to an end. It's going to go down, and everybody on the earth is going to see it. Because this is Babylon. The whole religious system is going to be destroyed. As a matter of fact, their own cousins are going to destroy it themselves. The Bible shows us they're going to destroy it themselves. They're going to destroy it themselves. Wait, you think I'm lying to you? I'm not lying to you. Look, let me give you a scripture before we finish these last two verses. Revelation chapter 17, real quick. Revelation chapter 17. I want to show you something. Revelation 17. Revelation chapter 17. Now, you ain't even got to know what all these symbols mean. Just read it, and you'll see what I'm talking about, though. Revelation chapter 17. I'm going to start at verse 12 and read down to verse 18. Watch. Revelation 17, verse 12 to 18. Watch closely now. Watch this. Yep, okay. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Watch this now. These, that is the 10 kings, shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the horde sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, watch this, these shall hate the whore. The same 10 horns. These shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate, and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Yahweh hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree, and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. See, they're going to destroy their own thing. They're going to go so crazy. They're going to trip so much. Just like as Edom, Moab, and Ammon, when they came against Jerusalem and they end up destroying themselves before Jehoshaphat, just as they did that in 2 Chronicles chapter 20, they're going to do this again at the end. They're going to be so crazy with all the things they cannot control, with the power of the Father's Spirit on his people, and the reception of his people, and the power of the warning, and the plagues coming upon them that they cannot control. They're going to be so upset. They're going to destroy their own. They're going to destroy their own kingdom. They're going to destroy their own thing. Let's finish. Ezekiel chapter 31, verse 17 and 18. Ezekiel 31, verse 17 and 18. Ezekiel 31, 17 and 18. They also went down into hell with him, and unto them that be slain with the sword, they that were his arm, that dwelt under his shadow in the midst of the heathen. To whom art thou thus like in glory and in greatness among the trees of Eden? Yet shalt thou be brought down with the trees of Eden into the nether parts of the earth. Thou shalt lie in the midst of the uncircumcised with them that be slain with the sword. This is Pharaoh and all his multitude, said the Most High Yahweh. See, he warned Pharaoh. See what happened to your cousin in Assyria? It's going to happen to you because you're too proud. You think you all that. You're too supreme. You're too privileged. See? You think you're too entitled. You've been running things too long. It's gotten to your head. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. The only one that can handle power is the Most High Yah. And the Bible says very plainly, all power belong to the Most High. Praise the Most High Yah. Let's have